Hi, everybody. Hi, my beautiful co-host, Corinne Mooney, all the way from Arizona, and Anne, all the way from Greece, right?
Mhm.
Sunny Arizona, sunny Greece. I hope I'm correct now.
Oh, yes.
We actually had rain here for a month, and that's very unusual. But we are really enjoying the water because it's needed, right? So I send you some. Welcome,
Oh,
everybody. And today we have Wednesday, January 8th in US and Europe, and Thursday, January 9th in Australia. You're watching Cosmic Sis-Stars Show with hosts Corinne and Anne. And today we will talk about or start the new series. And we are so excited about this. It's a new four-part series ending up with a summary at the end, right?
hmm
So we're talking about the four agreements. Today is going to be part one of four, and we will talk about be impeccable with your word. We have touched this subject in a different manner, but today we're going to come from the four agreements. And I actually have that book as well, and I love it. I had it for many, 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 many years.
yes.
And we can take your questions if you would like to, so don't hesitate to write something in the chat. I'm going to go there in a bit just to check everything out. Um, our last show on Cosmic Guardians was Wednesday, January 1st, a pre-recorded video with Cosmic Sisters Anne and Corinne. And we talked about decoding perfect timing, when and how it strikes. And the timing is kind of interesting because we always think about my timing, right?
hmm
And not about anything else. So if you missed that, you can go to angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming past, upcoming dash past. And our last, yeah, basically that was our last show on Cosmic Sisters and Cosmic Guardians, right? So we're going to meet Bobby and the Spiritual Mechanic show on Friday because we took a break last week. And you can connect with us, find upcoming shows, past episodes, read articles. Why not read Kareen's wonderful article that's up there and running? You can find that at angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. And we do always go live at facebook.com/cosmic guardians and youtube.com/at angel place on earth. So enough of the talking, right? Let's dive into today's topic. I love it.
Oh, so do I. So do I. It's interesting. We have been exchanging the word since you started, and people do not understand how powerful words are. And as simple as it is, this is a gift that is our most powerful way of communication, our way of creation. Our first sounds as an infant are the vibration of sound. And when we create, we have this ability to create all kinds of things. And it was said in the Bible that in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now, everything started because of the vibration of the Word. The vibration, it's an emotion. It's the way we communicate. It's our beautiful dream. And we can create the world or we can destroy it. And sometimes in as simple as one word.
Yeah.
We all remember the the situation in Germany when a man simply by his words, not his deeds, by his words manipulated millions of intelligent people to do horrendous and horrible things. But when we keep our word impeccable, and impeccable means, are you ready?
Yes.
Without sin.
Oh,
And it comes from the Latin, and I I apologize, I can't pronounce the Latin word, but the word means to sin, and of course, impeccable means without. So when we speak, let's not go against ourselves or others because of the power.
yes, because of the power. And words, we have been touching that before because words do have a lot of power. And how we express things, it sounds like, for instance, when we say, now we're going to talk about four-part four agreements, and a wonderful spiritual tool, but it's actually very, very simple. We just need to pay attention. That's all, right?
That's right.
How how am I expressing myself? What am I saying? How am I stating things? And that is, even if we are fairly aware, I don't say that we are because we wouldn't have been here if we were um, maybe already ready for everything. But um, we need to think about also what we are stating, what we say, what we think,
Hmm.
and how we talk to ourselves. That's also important, right?
Very, very important. I mean, how many times? I mean, a person would say, "Oh, I would never speak against myself," and yet you look in the mirror and you see a blemish. Oh, that's going to be horrible. You have just created a horrible experience.
Yeah.
Every time we say something to ourselves, whether it's about our appearance or about a test we took, we need to be that encouraging person. We need to keep lifting ourselves up because our words do have an impact. And
Yes.
and when we get in the habit of putting ourselves down, it's very easy to continue doing that with others. And we've spoken
Yeah.
in many, many times about the power of words and encouraging and how to use them to help a person uh, find their potential. And the simplest things. I think one of the things that really touches my heart is when I see an adult that is frustrated and doesn't want to take the time to really communicate with a small child. And they're just yelling at this child, telling this child, it will never learn. It's clumsy. It's this, it's that. This is impacting that child's whole being. And
Yeah.
we don't need to do that. We can find other ways. But first, we have to be living that in our own life. And
Yeah.
even,
And
go ahead.
sorry, I just get so eager,
Oh,
just
me
like
too.
you.
I do. Yes.
Louise Hay used to, I don't remember how I saw it, from a book or from a post or something. But how often do we sit in front of a mirror, seeing ourselves and talking to ourselves in a good way? You are enough.
Yeah.
You're worthy. You can. How often do we do that? And our self-talk is also us teaching others how to treat us.
Exactly. Because believe it or not, when we're small children, it's a little different. But as we get older, the way people treat us is the way that we have taught them to treat us. And
Yes,
and how we see ourselves, that we are no more worthy, and so we deserve all of that condemnation. And another with Louise Hay, which was really hard for me, but I did practice it, to look in the mirror and say, I love you. I really love you. I am
yeah,
in love with you. You are beautiful. And rather than, oh, I need a little tweak here, and maybe, because that's what we do. We're trained to look at the flaws. I watched a situation one time where someone came into a room and it was immaculate. And yet, what their eyes saw was that one item that was out of place. And
Yeah.
because we're trained to look for the difference rather
Yeah.
than see the grandeur,
Yeah. Looking for flaws
looking
rather
for
than see the good, all the good stuff, the good things we
correct.
have. Yeah. You know, the four agreements, um, you could say that that is the path to personal freedom if you follow it. And it's actually very, very simple. So, like today, how do I use my words? What do I say?
Hmm.
Right?
Yes. And I was trying not to giggle when you said it's very simple. Um, it is simple when you read it. It is simple when you think about it. It is simple because it is just being impeccable with your words. But I guarantee you that you go out there and
Yeah.
you say, I suggest to all of my students never challenge the universe because the universe will be very happy to give you every opportunity to practice being impeccable with your words. So just say, today, this is what I am going to attain to, and I am going to be impeccable with my words with me. Because if you go out in the universe, like I said, every opportunity you have, out will come something that is not impeccable. And you'll go, but I'm working on this. And the universe smiles and says, yes, you are.
Exactly. But you know what I always say? Awareness. We are going to say things that are not maybe what we mean, or we catch ourselves doing many things.
Yes.
And specifically on occasion, certain days, right? When we may not be tired or whatever, right? But awareness, that's a key. So it doesn't really, I don't have to punish myself or smack myself when I do. I need to be aware, paying attention, right?
And the beauty is that we can flip it around.
Yes,
You know, when you catch
always.
it, you just change it. And we're very blessed that we have people that have dedicated their lives to bringing forth tools for us to use. And Don Miguel is one of these people, and he's an honored nodule. That is a great reverence in their civilization, and he's the nodule of the Eagle Knight lineage, and he was trained as a physician, and he was a brilliant physician. However, his grandmother had always been training him to be a nodule. And over time, he realized that the medical profession was not helping people as much as bringing this lineage to people. And he, writing this book, has opened up the possibilities for so many people. And I'm very grateful for all of these teachers that have given me perceptions and insight and encouragement over these years.
Yeah. And some of these things are like forever things to keep because they resonate and they give practical tools for someone to move forward and to pay attention. It doesn't mean that we don't need to do the work because we certainly do, right?
Yes, we do. And it's interesting because when a baby is born, it's brand new and it's given an identity, it's given a culture, it's given a religion, it's given a set of programs that the family is supposed to follow. And it's going to have to really work to find its own self. But one of the things that Don Miguel says is that we are domesticated. We are carefully taught that this is what we do in this family. This is what you do when you go to school. This is what you do when you speak to these people. And we're programmed, and we keep talking about that programming. We're
Yeah.
programmed to follow their idea of what is healthy for the whole community. And it has helped because communities do have to have some kind of a connection. However, when you really want to find your freedom and you start stepping into the four agreements, you begin to realize that these precepts do not work for me.
No, they don't. And they don't work because we are being put here, we are shaped to fit into boxes, right?
Yes. Hmm.
But how can someone who are unique, because we are all unique, how can we fit into a few boxes? Because we are not going to hear our own personal uniqueness. We're not going to be able to express that. So we need to step outside of that, right?
Yes. And as we've spoken before, how our past experiences uh, guide us to make decisions in the present now. Well, this really comes true when we have been domesticated that this is a behavior that is something that is required in order to function. And we find that this is not something that is going to allow us to have that expression of self. Also, we judge people by the perceptions of our domestication. So
Yeah,
we have already decided before we take that class, we hear other students say, well, that teacher does this and this and this and this and this. So we have a perception of how that teacher's going to treat us. And we're going to miss the opportunity to meet that teacher as we see them. So
yeah,
by being impeccable with our speech and starting to self-talk and give ourselves the right to make these decisions, we are opening up a freedom that is incredible.
exactly. And that freedom, um, there's nothing in this world that can pay back that freedom,
No.
because it's a connection to self. And when we try to fit into these boxes that we talked about, right? We try to fit in rather than expressing our uniqueness, which this is all about, how we express and talk and think and everything. We are not allowing ourselves to flourish, to be that which we really are, because we are infinite beings, right?
Hmm.
We
Yes.
have everything already, but we need to, kind of shut down that noise and distraction,
Yes.
and claiming the right to be ourselves. And I'm not talking about having an attitude and saying, I'm better than you. No. Um, I'm talking about coming from the heart, coming from love, coming from the infinite being we are, right?
Hmm.
And in that sense, expressing ourselves. And talking about the universe and how the universe can if we are challenging the universe, yeah, the universe and how things are set up, right? Um, that's another thing that can be really interesting to pay attention to and to try to avoid. I have a temper. I have Mediterranean temper. That's a challenge for me, to be honest. But I'm working hard on learning to distinguish which is not actually mine.
Perfect. Perfect. And that is, those words are pure. That which is not mine. Are we responding to the programming that we had? So we assume that a situation is going to turn out that way because all of our friends, all of our family said it was going to turn out that way. Or are we going to be alive and authentic enough to see that there are other ways to deal with this? And self-love, as we have said before, is not selfish.
No,
Being authentic is not selfish. It is letting your true self be seen. We are limiting what the universe can do when we limit what we came here to do. And trying to live
exactly.
with false concepts denies the world of our greatest gifts and the innate wisdom and understanding that only we can give the world, because each of us has something to give to the world that is like a piece of a puzzle that needs to be put in there for humanity to expand and become the greatest it can be.
Exactly. And being impeccable, I love that word, to be honest, with your
Yes.
word means speaking with integrity, saying only what you mean, uh,
Hmm.
your what your authentic self does mean, right?
Yes.
Sorry, yes, and avoiding using words to get revenge or harm or get even with someone, right? But I think that is what I'm currently have been chatting with a little bit when people, without meaning it, saying nasty things.
Yes. And for instance, in the social media, because people aren't face to face anymore, they feel that their empty mind can go out and just say anything they want or pass on any gossip that they have, because it's going to make them have a feeling of self-importance. And the challenge is that not everybody is equipped to handle all of this negativity that is thrown at them because, again, and we'll be talking about that later, taking it personally. But it does,
Yeah,
it hits on a level because they're attacking our essence, our being. And maybe it is something that we don't have any, I don't have any control over my red hair. So I have learned that I'm uniquely different, and that's wonderful. However, the horrendous things that were said to me growing up and the isolation that I felt, and it is that cruelty, it is not productive. However, to have the freedom of the tools that we are going to be bringing forth, you no longer have that visceral experience of, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I should.
yeah,
Maybe I could. Maybe I shouldn't have. And
yeah.
stepping into your power is amazing.
It is amazing. And it's also going to help one moving forward because today we speak about words and what we are both expressing, saying to others, but also how we do our self-talk, right?
Hmm.
So there's another aspect of this, and this is kind of interesting for me because I talk to a huge amount of people. There are a few that calls and talks about the same things. And it's always about, well, I can't do that, and I don't see how that can change for me. And they come back to sliding back to their past history And I always say, because I am agreeing with, we need to tell our story, we need to get it out of our system, but we are not supposed to get caught in the loop. That's
Mhm.
not going to bring us forward. That's going to keep us at the same place, and we're going to step like this at the same spot. That's another way connected to this as well, right?
Yes. And segueing just a little bit, um, with the Toltec, these people were gifted women, men and women of knowledge, and they consider themselves scientists and artists to recreate the dream and to recreate the spiritual knowledge and bring all of these things together and keep it alive, because in many times any knowledge like this is threatened. And so to come together as a community and save it for the time when humanity was ready for it, this is one of the gifts that they have brought us. And I think that when you have a gift, anybody loves to open a gift, but when you open this gift, use it, because where you're going to go with this gift is beyond even your dreams, because you're going to be creating your dreams and not the dreams of others.
Exactly. Very well said. Perfect. Perfect. And in that sense, coming back to what we said in the beginning, it's a path to personal freedom.
Yes. And everybody has their dream. And to look at someone and assume that they are following a certain line. For instance, you see someone that is caring for an elderly person or a situation, and you think, oh, they're so compassionate, they're so understanding, I could never do that. But you do not know what that person is dreaming. Maybe that person's dream is to be of service to this person, but then go on and then become of service in another way. Maybe that's their dream, but you don't see that. You only see what is given to you. And we all have our dreams. We all have our aspirations, and they're not necessarily just out there. They may be, but the point is to continue dreaming your dream, not someone
Yes,
else's dream.
exactly. And dare to look forward, right? Looking
Yeah,
forward. So I adapted something from Inspired channel on YouTube when I broke my leg. So now I say I do what I can with what I currently have. I say
exactly.
currently. I added that myself, because that's what we can do. But we need to see beyond, to trust and have faith and know that there are more things. We're not
Yes,
finished, right? There's
not at all.
always, if someone can move forward and progress in a way that we may want, something that we see, I'm dreaming about this thing, I want to do that. Yeah, well, who are you then? You can, everybody can, in our
Exactly.
own unique way. Everybody.
Yes. It's interesting that you use that phrase, that you use what you have available to you. And I remember when I was becoming aware that there was more than just this getting up, going to work, and doing the robotics things. And I said to one of my daughters, um, I had just taken this wonderful class and realized there were a lot of things that I needed to kind of readjust to. And I handed her the book. She's about 18. And I said, now, I know that I have royally screwed you up. However, I did the best I could with what I had available. Now read this book and unscrew yourself. And literally, this is what it was. I can't blame my parents for what they did because they did the best they could with what was available. I did the best I could with what was available. And if that is not going to give my children what they need to become the best they can be, then take that responsibility, find out what you like and don't like, and redo it. Recreate your
Yeah,
dream. And you
exactly.
start with the word.
Yes, you start with the word.
I am worthy. I am loved. I am appreciated. I am creative. I am. Yes.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Because acknowledging ourselves, and I actually met a few people in my life that they can't look in a mirror and talk to themselves.
I,
It's a little bit sad, but everybody can train. Everybody can train. Just do it.
yep. You know,
Everybody can, and it's about how you feel because maybe certain people feel that they have a bigger burden to crawl through until they find themselves. It doesn't mean it cannot be. Everything can be. And something we tend to forget, no matter what choices we have been doing in the past, and that there's no um, real reason to tell them to yourself over and over and over again. It's a good thing to remember the learning. So that's what I chose then. Why did I choose that? Because maybe that was the best choice I had back then, right?
yeah,
And that part we tend to forget. But we can always, 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 always make new choices right here now.
hmm
Always.
and I love that you brought that up because we are the only species that makes a mistake and doesn't just learn and say, I'm not going to do that again. No, we're going to keep it. We're going to bring that out every time we have something that looks similar. And we're going to go over that mistake and we're going to relive it thousands and thousands and thousands of times. And 95% of our beliefs that are stored in our mind are nothing but lies. The lies we've told ourselves, the lies we had other people tell us. And we need to break that illusion and that dream. And on a little bit of a scientific thing, you know how I like to kind of slip into that. There is a beetle, and I'm not sure what it's called. My name for it would be a dung beetle because what it does is every time that it poops, it takes its hind legs and it puts the poop on its back. And eventually, it dies from carrying all of that excretion. And
That's funny, sorry.
I'm
Yeah,
thinking, why do humans constantly keep bringing up all the things? Because it doesn't trigger you to be better. It doesn't trigger, it just brings up that emotion. I'm not worthy. Everything they said about me is true. And so come on, let's just kind of, clean ourselves and start anew.
yeah. It's like when you fall and you raise yourself up and you brush off your clothes and you move on.
Exactly. And I think personally that in my lifetime, had I not had the tenacity, stubbornness to get up and say, you know what, this isn't working. What can I do to improve the situation? And just keep moving forward. instead of finding a way to numb the fact that I don't feel good about myself. Now, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that a person that has a chemical imbalance that is really having really challenging fears and mental situations, that is not something to be discarded. I'm just saying that when you get yourself together physically, to start doing this internal homework is going to be so incredible. And starting with the small, just being kind to yourself. And then you find that you have the ability to be kind to someone else.
Exactly. But it always kind of starts with oneself, because if I don't feel comfortable in my own skin, how can I actually be nice or kind or
Exactly.
aware, right? Mhm.
That's right. And if you let someone see you, then you're vulnerable. And vulnerability is actually a gift because it allows you to be real. But
Yeah,
we find there are very few people we can be real with. And as I have said to you, I have allowed you to see me in my glory and in my not glory. I have allowed you to see me when I was in sadness, when I was in grief, when I was in happiness, when I was in joy. And I have let you see me. And with that gift of trust, I see you. And
yes,
trust is, you have to be impeccable with that trust.
yes. And you know, people, no, I say we all have a sense when things are not really authentic or genuine. We do.
Hmm.
So it it's not about us not wanting to be close to someone, or but we sense it, we're picking it up, and I think that goes for every sentient sorry being walking on this earth.
Exactly.
um so it's
Exactly.
difficult
And it's something
to
that needs to be earned. And
did I lose you? I don't hear you, Corinne. Okay, it feels like we don't hear Corinne right now. She's going to come back, I hope. But anyway, so we are talking about the four agreements and being impeccable with your word, how you express yourself, what you're stating, what you are telling others, and what you're telling yourself. Because no matter if we feel that we can say everything, if it's authentic, we're always going to find a way to express ourselves, right? We're going to see if we can get Corinne back here in a bit. I hope so. It's a little bit of internet probably matters.
I don't know
Okay,
what
let me
happened,
see.
but I decided to take a little vacay.
You did. Welcome back. I covered you.
Well, you weren't talking, so I thought I was covering you, and I was eloquent. Divine timing, divine timing. But but it is true to be authentic with yourself. And uh, I was getting ready to say there was an opera, and where these two people were getting married, and he's standing there and he's singing, oh, when we get married, we'll move to the country, and I'll raise my horses and I'll do this. And she's standing there singing, when we get married, we'll live in the city and we'll have all these balls. They're not authentic with themselves. They're not even communicating with each other. So it's going to be interesting when they do get married and they have these complete different perceptions of what they think their marriage should be. So to be authentic from the beginning, it saves an awful lot of time and heartache.
It saves everything because I'm getting the question from a lot of people. They do ask, okay, so how can I catch this person's attention? Well, just be your authentic self, the best version of yourself that you are right now. Be
Hmm.
true. Be who you are. That is the best way because you do save yourself plus the other person. You don't try to adapt to something that is not really you. And it gives you the wonderful gift of being able to see from the beginning, are we a match or not?
Exactly. And to go into a situation where you're pretending, you can only pretend for so long. Pretty soon the mask is going to come off, and there's going to be disappointment on both sides. And a lot of times people will have a an idea of what their ideal match is. And yet they have been having these wonderful conversations with this person that they've been hanging with, and they do things together, and they're all on the same wavelength all the time, and they're there when that person needs them. They really are in a committed relationship, and they don't even know it because someone said, well, the perfect this looks like that, and the perfect this looks like this. And so they're
Yeah,
always looking for that perfect. Why not be in the present and be authentic and be with the real, authentic human being that you can spend your time with?
exactly. And also it's very common to respond to others' perception of us, right?
Hmm.
For instance, a few things in my life. One of them was that I always heard that you're too kind. You're too sweet,
Oh,
you're too
yeah.
nice, you're too kind. And I worked hard on that part for quite some time. And my fear was, okay, if I'm too kind, I'm going to be taken advantage of. And then because I was like this as a child, I remember we had one of those thick TV, the old versions, right? And we
Yeah.
had someone coming to repair it. I was about 3 years old, but I was very loving even when I was 3 years old. So the guy coming to fix the TV, I was doing this on his hair. He had the beard, and I gave him a hug because that is what I felt. Um, I wanted to do that, and I've always been like that. I'm not shy to. I don't like when I don't know people if they just, for instance, in the suburbs when they are sitting on top of me, right? That's different. But
Yes.
when we are interacting with others, sharing something, it can be a smile or something. But at the end of the day, I made a decision, and I said, I'm not going to adapt myself to someone else's perception, even if they are 1,000 people. I don't care. I'm going to be me.
Hmm.
So
And
you guys, you remain over there.
exactly. And it's amazing because even in a relationship, uh, one partner will try to make the version that they are seeing out of the other
Oh,
person, and that
yes,
person tries to comply, and it never works out. It really does not work out because pretty soon you do not know who you are. And in my relationship, when I finally was at the end of the relationship after many years, and I had been that go-to mother. I had taken care of all 5 kids. I'd gotten everything done. I was just super wife and mother. And one of the things he said to me was, now listen to the phrasing, you never let me help you with the kids. Now, I had 4 children under 4 and then a fifth. And I would have loved for someone to come in and say, hey, how about if I wash some of those bodies? How about if I tie all those shoes? How about if I, help, carry this and everything else? No, he never volunteered. He didn't want to get involved because then he would become involved. He never changed a diaper. And that's when we had cloth diapers, folks. That was in the dark ages.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that comment was, I never let him do anything with the kids. And I just go, okay, well, that was an interesting take on it. But this is what I'm saying. When you live in the delusion that you are living the illusion that other people say you should be living, you're not authentic with yourself. And when
No.
you're not impeccable with your speech, it's hard to start being impeccable with other things around you.
Exactly. And I think if you start to work on your part, being impeccable with your word and your speaking and expression and everything of that nature, you're going to also become more aware of what others are saying to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, because you become a person that now, by living authentically, it's almost like you can't live anywhere but in the present. Because to be authentic, you can't be in the future and you can't be in the past.
No,
So I mean, it's kind of a, you know, one size fits all, folks. Once we start working on the impeccability and we start working on the authenticity, then the self-love starts bubbling out. And then when the self-love starts bubbling out, our creative and inspirational ideas, that when we see someone, we don't just have an, a common knowledge, have a good day. We say, this is a beautiful day, and aren't we glad we're in it? Or
yeah,
it's something a little more that people can kind of grasp onto. And uh, it's a beautiful, beautiful way to be. When I have the class, which I'm going to be doing this month, um, after we do the first agreement, I send them home and I say, I am going to ask you to be aware when you are impeccable with your speech. Now, interestingly enough, a young mother, she comes back and she's grinning from ear to ear. And I said, so what's happening? She said, well, I have a teenage son and he has been obstinate and teenager. Those kind of go together. She said, however, when I spoke to him, I changed the way that I spoke to him. And it was like a light switch went off. He changed what he was doing, and it was so simple. There was no uh, commotion. There was no discussion. It was as if he had been waiting to
yeah,
hear these immaculate words spoken impeccably that were encouraging him and
yeah,
and gave him the incentive to make change in his life. And she says, this works. And I said, yes, it
it
does.
does. And it's interesting because when we feel annoyed or angry or something upset by something, right? We, at least I have been raised, we supposed to go to the person and have this talk, right? Expressing ourselves and talking the situation through. And I can understand that to some degree. But you know what happens is that when I'm in that space, when I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying, I'm coming from the place where I'm accusing someone.
Mhm.
That's a setup for a minor war to come about, right?
Exactly. Exactly. And every one of us have our own projector, and we are the hero in our movie, and everybody
Yeah.
else are just minor characters, and we are playing the scenario. Let's say that the argument that you had, and they're playing their scenario. Well, and she said this and that, and I felt this, and da 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 da, and she's a this and a that and a that, and you're running your film. Well, how do I apologize for this because I didn't do anything wrong, da, 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 da. So you go in there with two different films going, and then it doesn't really bring hoponopono.
No, it doesn't, because you can't, we can express everything, but it's about how we do express it, right? If I
Yes.
would have something now with you, I would come from the angle, Corrine, why are you doing that? Right?
Yes.
Uh, and
And,
your
and
response would not be very loving back.
no.
So we would
However,
not come to solution, right?
that's right. However, if we say, I realize that I have done or said something that doesn't fit right here, how can I find a way that we can come to an agreement? How can we find out what is going to make both of us uh, in a place of happy time? I like happy time. Uh, but this is true. Rather than coming in accusing and I'm this and I'm going to stick to my guns, or rather than coming in, I'm a bad person, I did it. Da, 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 da. No. One of the things that has always irritated me is when I see a parent force a child to say I'm sorry. I had a real issue with this, especially with my last child, and I never used that expression. Now, if she did something that was not correct or appropriate, she could say, I've made a mistake. I apologize. Excuse me, all kinds of things. But for instance, if I were to say, Anna, that shirt you're wearing today really looks sorry. You feel the
Yeah.
impact? You feel,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's like, but I mean, you want to look at yourself, well, if I got something on it and everything else. Because the word sorry immediately makes it feel inferior.
Yeah.
And when you force a child to say they're sorry and they really have been wronged, you haven't really solved the situation. All you're doing is creating another facade that they fall into. Well, I'm going to hit my friend, but I'm going to say I'm sorry. And there for a while, oh, maybe 15 years ago, there was this thing where kids were saying, oh, you really look tacky today. Not. And that was supposed to erase it. Well, you've already done the damage. And this is the same with sorry. And you can apologize for maybe incorrect behavior, but don't use the I'm sorry. Because if you say it to yourself, oh, I'm sorry. Ah,
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
choose your
And
word.
also it has to do with expectations and assumptions about what someone else is going to do. For instance, a common theme regarding relationships. Um, my partner never helped me. Um, I've tried to talk to him, but he doesn't listen to me. Right? It's many times, not always, but it's many times women.
Yes.
Um, and I think that the main theme here is coming from that place again, accusing. You never helped me. Instead of, can you give me a hand? I need your help here right now. Can you give me a hand right now? Because we are not going to overcome or break an energy or a pattern with accusing someone else, right? We're not going to hit our target.
No, no. And in in order to do that, so many times people are coming out of a defensive mode. They're coming out of a hurt mode. They're coming out of, well, even if I ask, you won't help. However, I haven't found too many people, thank goodness, that can actually read my mind. And I have found that it is a lot easier to express. And then if they choose not to do it, that's fine. But then we're going to be coming up later on in this program with the don't make assumptions. Oh, is that a big
Exactly.
um, but
That is a biggie.
yes, but we judge what they say by our programming. Well, they said this, so they must mean that. And it causes a lot of confusion.
Confusion. Yeah. It's interesting, and it certainly is interesting to be a human being on this earth, isn't it?
I think it's kind of comical, but we are putting on a great show for the universe.
Yeah, we are. And, I just, like always, now I'm very courageous and bold. I say, universe, bring it on
In increments that you can handle.
in increments that I can handle. Yes, of course.
I found doing that, it's a whole lot easier to have them in little pieces than a kaboom, So I've learned to be a little bit more specific.
I think that's a good idea. Otherwise, the frying pan is going to come, right?
That's why, to go out and say, okay, today I'm going to be impeccable with my words. The first Homo sapien that I run into, I find that I am not impeccable with my words. And I'm going, so I say, today, this is what I'm working on. I am going to, make every attempt to learn this lesson and use it as the great tool it is, rather than just stand up there and say, I'm ready, give it to me. Because
Yes.
you know
So some ways to apply the four agreements in your daily life. But I mean, for this week, maybe just be impeccable with your word.
exactly. And I'm asking people to be conscious of of what they say, but also to, if they find that they are not, if it just, comes out, oh, darn, this is going to be a terrible day or something, to catch themselves, to start listening to themselves and to start catching themselves. And then when they do speak to another person, think about how this is going to sound to that person. And also remember how it felt when the situation did, like that young boy. And remember these things, because you can't, you just go through life and everything blurs. But when you start remembering, yes, that did work. Yes, I am going to continue doing that. Yes, I felt better when I said that. Practice that. Practice that.
Yeah, I think it's you could also say mindful communication. You pay attention to what you're going to also before speaking to someone. What am I saying to them actually? And sometimes
And
We have a way, maybe that's a Swedish saying, it sounds funny. Sometimes frogs are going to pop out from our mouth, right?
exactly.
But we don't need to punish ourselves for it. Remember, nothing is a quick fix ever. It's a training. It's
It is.
exercising. It's
It
being aware, loving yourself and accepting, okay, a frog came out. So
yes.
am I going to punish myself? No.
And you have to realize that that however old you are, you've had that many years of programming. And
Exactly.
so it is kind of illogical to think that every single time that you practice this, there's going to be great success, or that you will never slip. And that's the beauty of this becoming authentic, because
Yeah.
you don't have, okay, this is what authentic looks like to me, and I've got to achieve this, and da da da. But that's not authentic, folks. That's just
No.
another status.
And and sometimes, and not getting caught into this loop either, but sometimes when we are in the process of becoming aware, paying attention, doing our self work, um, and someone pops something, they ask us something, or they state something, or whatever, and we don't feel sure. So it's okay to say, I don't really know. I'm coming back on that one
Perfect. Perfect.
when I know. Right? But not using it all the time, because that by itself is a pattern, an excuse, right?
I find that a great phrase is, well, that's interesting, and just leave it like that, because that was an interesting outcome. And the most important thing, I think, is to not take yourself seriously. Be sincere with what you're doing, but this is not the end of the world. It's actually the beginning of the world, but don't let that pressure bother you either. However, doing this with humor and love and self consideration, this this is all about the beauty of showing ourselves the most incredible human being that we can be.
Yeah, it is. And, discovering oneself, paying attention, and changing perception of surroundings, people, the world, everything.
Mhm.
It is exciting. It's
It
really
really is.
exciting.
It
Yeah,
really is. So, welcome to the rest of your life, and all of the amazing things that are just going to put things uh, into rhythm and balance, and to the yin and the yang.
exactly. And the new perspectives,
That's right.
self-love,
Self love.
everything to be joyful about, right?
Yes, and remember, uh, it doesn't seem like there's a lot to be joyful for, but create your own joy. Just be in joy for the sake of being in joy.
Yeah,
And this is going to change your outlook enormously. But to go
yeah,
around sober and I got this and I got that and everything else, every now and then, just for the fun of it, do something that's joyful. I mean, maybe sing a song, skip, you know, throw a rock across the water. Do something that brings you back to that innocent, joyful child.
yeah. And sometimes that may be, for instance, just go out in nature. So in cold countries that can be challenging, but we have ski, we have a lot of things, right?
That's right.
But nature connects us with something very, very fundamental. It connects us with the real reality, right?
Exactly. Just take the time to look at something, for instance, just a sunset or a sunrise, or go out and notice the stars, how bright they are, or where the moon is at that particular time, or watch an animal do something. Uh, there are so many ways we distract ourselves from being in the world with the Facebook and the phones and everything else. How about putting in instead something that is going to bring us back to being human and
Yeah,
touching that beauty that's all around us, that we just kind of go, no, I don't see anything, I don't see anything, can't hear anything. And
yeah,
you know,
exactly. Because being alive, being here, we chose to be here.
yes, we did.
And that's my, yeah, that's our perception. And we're not supposed to be all over somewhere else all the time because someone said something very good actually on Facebook. You can find good stuff even
Yes,
on
you can.
Facebook now.
Yes.
I'm 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 a little bit harsh now, but it was in the terms of I don't remember the wording exactly, but it had to do with okay, so I have my cell phone, I use it all the time for different things, and I chat with all these people far away around the globe that doesn't give me time to talk to the person sitting beside me,
Hmm?
to seeing each other.
Yes. Or have you ever noticed when two people are walking, they're not communicating with each other, they're on their cell phone. And because I also do a relationship class, I have a tendency to kind of be observant of couples' behavior. And I was in a restaurant, and this man and woman were sitting across from each other, both on their phones, and you could see by their body language that I don't even know why they were there, unless they were just starving to death, because they weren't there for to share any joy. And then I saw a couple next to them, and no phones. They were looking at each other, and they were just barely touching fingers, but they had this eye contact. And I'm very shy. And so I went up to them and I said, I want to the couple that were communicating. And I said, I want to tell you that you two are giving each other a gift that is immeasurable and is invaluable, because you are giving each other your time and yourself. And
Yeah,
I, it was so different to see these two couples. And I I refrained myself from going up and giving the other table an F in communication. However, I did think about
yes.
it.
Okay. Well, I told this story a couple of times before, but it's a little bit funny, and sometimes I have a big mouth. I'm funny as well. So I went down into the sub in Stockholm. Quite a lot of people, everybody on their phones, and I said, "Nobody home here."
And that's true, because they've checked out.
Yeah,
They
they
have,
did.
have checked out. So, how about if we all check in? Because when you get to know the incredible soul that is within you, you're going to wonder why you have not played and had fun with and nourished this beautiful essence of your own being. So, have fun.
Yeah, enjoy. And when we are going out with other people, we don't need to have the phone all the time. That's only my idea of things. It's kind of an advice, but be present. There are other people out there.
Yes.
When we are interacting with others, it doesn't mean we need to know all of them. You can give someone a smile. That's going to maybe make their day. That's an act of kindness.
It
To
is.
seeing them. I see you. So when we
Believe me.
are on the phone all the time, we don't see anyone else.
No, I mean, I literally when I back out of a parking place, I have gotten into the habit of honking my horn because even though I have my lights on, my car is moving. They've got this phone in their face, and they're completely unaware. And so I decided, well, uh, my throat is not capable of hollering at everybody now, so I'm just gonna honk my horn. And I sit there going beep 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 beep, and they go, oh, I'm gonna get run over, and they're completely uh, hypnotized,
Yes,
hypnotized.
I know. You can be. I was a little bit careful when I was going out when I had my. Now I'm walking around, so it's not. It's past for me now with my leg. But I was very much aware because people they would throw their bags on my leg. They would. One lady came with those, like a wagon when you put your stuff, your groceries in them, and she
Yes,
took my crutch with it, and she
I know.
said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And I said, "What am I going to do with a sorry? You are out with people. Wake up."
Yes, I have uh, my superwoman story. My friend Roxy had her foot operated on, and we had just come back from the doctor, and she'd just gotten her stitches out, and she did have her leg on one of those little carts. And we stopped at the bank, and she was at the teller, and with her she was standing sideways so her leg could be against the counter. Well, there was this elderly lady that went up to the teller next to her, and she's got this great big purse, and she's just swinging it, bunky, 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 bunky. Now I'm sitting probably, oh, maybe 5, 10 feet away, and and there's chairs in front of me. So I saw that this purse was getting close to my friend's foot, who had just had her stitches out. And within seconds, I was up around those chairs and over and had my hand to stop that purse from hitting her foot. Well, of course, it happened so fast that the guards, I mean, if I'd been a burglar or a bad guy, they wouldn't have had time to stop me. I would have robbed that place. I was so fast, it was like lightning. And I had my hand just as that purse came over to hit her foot. And of course, the older lady looked at me and goes, like, what are you doing? And I said, I didn't want this purse to hit my friend's foot. Well, I'd never do that. Well, that's fine. That's another story. And my friend was completely oblivious to what was going to happen. But I'm watching all of this and I'm going, okay. And I wish I could move like that all the time. But I mean, even the people that had seen it, they're standing there going, what just happened?
Yeah,
But that's
but
true.
I think it comes down. It's not about blaming anyone, but it's about we need to be aware.
We need to be
We have
aware.
time for ourselves, so we can step into our world when we have the need for that. But when we are out interacting with other people, we need to be aware. It's simple.
Yes, because believe it or not, all of these sentinel beings, they may not be aware of who they really are. But if you are aware of them, you have just given them an electrical charge, and they're going to go, what just happened? And
Yeah,
and just by our being there. So every individual is important. Let us be the best that we can be.
exactly. The best version we currently are, currently, because we do change all the time.
Yes,
So
all the time.
we do what we have with what we no, we do what we can with what we currently have, and then we
Correct.
look forward. That's what we do.
Exactly. And we'll be hitting on that, doing your best. That comes up my third week, I think.
Exactly. And is there anything else we want to talk about?
No, should we just kind of give them an idea of what comes after impeccable?
Yes. So after Impeccable, next topic to talk about connected to the four agreements is going to be part two of four. Don't take anything personally. Yes.
Oh, oh,
Oh, that's a juicy one.
yes.
That's a real juicy one. And that is next week on January 15th in US and Europe and January 16th in Australia. And yes, don't take anything personally. So until next week, I have a suggestion. No pressure, anyone who wants. Why not challenge yourself a little bit and try to become aware, be impeccable with your word?
Mhm. Let us begin practicing what we're learning.
Yes. And everybody watching this, because it's a great tool. Awareness is key
Exactly.
to, to many things. And am I summoning everything up? Yes.
You have, yes, please do some.
Okay. So you have been watching Cosmic Sis-Stars Show with Anne and Corinne today, and we have been talking about the four agreements, part one of four, discussing be impeccable with your words. I had the wonderful opportunity to share a lot of stuff today. So you can see that we also have articles and stuff. And if you want to connect with us, find upcoming shows, past episode, read articles, you can go to angelplaceonearth.com/cosmic guardians. You find me there, you find Corrine, you can find anything related to Corrine because Corrine is going to do some workshops with the four agreements this month, right?
Yes.
Yes. And I tell you all, it's a well of information, Miss Corrine. Uh, I'm far away, otherwise I would come, I promise. And you can always check upcoming shows and past episodes at angelplaceonearth.com/upcoming dash past. Okay, so we learned the dash. It's kind of technical talk that maybe we are not paying attention to all the time, right? And thank you so much for watching us today. And be impeccable with your word.
Yes.
That's going to be a wonderful experience the upcoming week if you choose so, right? Thank you for
Hmm.
watching us, Cosmic Sister Show with Anne and Corrine, and we see you next week. I say love, light, peace, and joy to you all. What do you say, Corrine?
Love, life, peace, and laughter.
For sure, laughter.
For sure.
Bye.
Bye bye.